So, welcome to CKCS Tech Night. It's my pleasure to introduce Ben Cowgill. He is going to probably talk to you a little bit about his professional life before this, but I want to start by sharing how we got to this presentation tonight. He is a new and very enthusiastic new member and has jumped in with both feet. He is a volunteer office supervisor once a week. He helps with the I Help Dr. Fix-It session that we have on Wednesdays. And he also is presenting at the All Things Apple Sig. So he's talked about doing a class, being an instructor. And so we kind of got together and we were just brainstorming things. And then he said, you know what I'd really like to do is I'd like to develop a virtual world for CKCS. And like, I think some of you probably you have no idea what that is. You've not experienced it. So it was a concept that I was not aware of. But he was very enthusiastic about it, and we're always open to new ideas. So he has developed this world for CKCS. And I think you will notice when you participate, you'll see how much work has gone into it and how much time has gone into to create it. So Ben, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. We're going to go ahead and end the slideshow.
Yep.
And we need to also
get out of PowerPoint.
Yeah, you can get out of it.
And while I'm doing that, and before I forget, I see that we have a good turnout of people on Zoom. I am using a high-end presentation software called Prezi. It's like PowerPoint on steroids. It uses a lot of motion effects, and I have discovered that if you are watching this on a phone or an iPad, it will get a little bit laggy and a little bit delayed. So I mentioned this earlier when some of you were here, but others were not. If you are on an iPad or an iPhone, I will try to move slowly enough that the presentation app doesn't lag behind me. If you can switch over to a laptop or a desktop here as we begin, that would be great. So let me get PowerPoint down. And now let me see if I can jump directly into my presentation. And do a little housekeeping here. Just a moment. Okay, if we're all on the same page, everyone is seeing my blue screen with that wonderful CKCS logo, which will soon be replaced. Are we all there? Very good. Let's get started. I am Ben Cowgill. I'll take just a minute to introduce myself. I want to be sure to say right off the bat that it is a genuine pleasure for me to present to this group, and I will also say an honor. And let me say why. I have only been part of this group for 4 months, but it has been a wonderful experience already. Everyone has been very warm and friendly and welcoming. I might have expected to be treated like a newbie or a Johnny-come-lately, but no one has treated me that way, and I genuinely appreciate it. And I've gained a lot of respect for this organization in that brief time. I've been impressed by everything. I've been impressed by the leadership group. I've been impressed by the classes and the teaching. I'm impressed by this facility. To me, this is an example of so many great groups in Lexington that make Lexington great. You've got a lot of dedicated people who have been keeping this going in a very successful way for a long time. So I'm honored to be at the podium tonight. I am a native of Lexington. I went through the Lexington Public Schools. I'm a graduate of Duke and UK College of Law. Believe it or not, I'm a fan of both ball teams. That sometimes is an exercise in holding two opposing concepts in my head at the same time. I'm happiest when both of them are doing well and when they are not playing each other. I practiced law for some 30 plus years. I didn't double check to see exactly what the number is. During part of that time, I was chief bar counsel for the Kentucky Bar Association, which meant that I was the chief prosecutor of other lawyers on ethics violations. I also was an adjunct professor at the U of L Law School teaching legal ethics there. And legal ethics is not a contradiction in terms. It really is. There is such a thing as legal ethics. I have been a computer enthusiast since 1984, the very same year that the Central Kentucky Computer Society was launched. And as I have learned about the history of CKCS, it has been a trip down memory lane for me. As I read through the history, I saw that in the first founding group of 4 or 5 people, the lawyer who incorporated CKCS as a nonprofit was Arthur Absher, whom I have not seen in 20 or 30 years. There was a time in the late 80s, early 90s when Arthur and I were the 2 resident computer geeks of the Fayette County Bar. Everybody came to us, either he and his office or me and my office, to learn how to use computers in the practice of law. We both gave a lot of continuing education seminars. Everybody looked to us to know how to use computers. And lo and behold, unbeknownst to me at that time, he also had incorporated the Central Kentucky Computer Society. So it was a delight to see that. I also discovered, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. I bought my first computer in 1984 right down the street here on Moore Drive at a computer shop that was operated by Dan Diashin. Great guy. Haven't seen him since then. But when I read through the history, I saw that in that early group, there is a group of people at a table at one of the tech shows that you all put on, and Dan Diashin is there. So I feel like I'm the prodigal child who has come home to my real tribe after being in the wilderness of law practice while you all have been running CKCS. So that's who I am. The title of tonight's presentation is Welcome to the Wonderful World of Virtual Meeting Worlds. Brookie teases me about my long titles. That's because I'm a lawyer and I'm naturally verbose. But in this instance, I couldn't resist the opportunity for alliteration. As soon as I said to myself the words welcome and meeting worlds, I knew I had to flesh it out as welcome to the wonderful world of virtual meeting worlds. So that's what we're going to talk about, and we are going to find out what they are. Here is my plan for what we will do. First, I'll spend just 10 or 15 minutes of an introduction generally on what is a virtual meeting world. How is it different from Zoom? How is it different from a virtual reality headset and the other kinds of things you've heard about? Then from there, we'll do a quick canned tour of the new virtual world that I have created for CKCS. I thought it would be best not to go into the world live and stumble around, but instead to create a presentation with titles and arrows and labels and the like so that I can show it to you quickly. Then we'll certainly allow time for questions and discussion. I will actually be stopping a couple of times along the way before that to invite questions in context as we address different things. And then finally, if there is time and if we are able in the middle of a Zoom call, I will go into the virtual desk. It is a website and you'll see it. But I've got a couple of videos as part of my presentation that I took this afternoon, so they may be a sufficient substitute for a live visit. Okay, let's get started. What is a virtual meeting world? Well, you already know that the word virtual is bandied about quite a bit these days. I think it has become a fashionable term. A lot of things are called virtual that aren't really virtual. Something's not virtual just because it's online, right? Virtual means having the resemblance of something else or acting as a substitute for something else, acting as a stand-in for something else. So while there are lots of different things out there, for purposes of this presentation, I think we can group them in 3 groups as I have indicated by this graphic. On the left-hand side, we've got video conference platforms like Zoom, Zoom being the most familiar to everyone. There are others like WebEx and Google Meet. WebEx is used much more in corporate settings than Zoom is, but they are all familiar to you as video conference platforms. On the far end, at the other end of the spectrum, are virtual reality devices, VR headset devices, which actually put you in a full 360-degree virtual reality. In between is something else, and that's what we're going to be talking about. In between are what are called web-based virtual worlds. The benefits of a web-based virtual world is that it does not require any special equipment, does not require a virtual reality headset. You actually access it as a website. As I will show you, the one that I've created for us exists as a website. As Brookie told you, you go to a web address, you log in as you would to other websites, and you are in a web-based virtual world. So it's much more than a video conference platform like Zoom, for reasons that we'll discuss a bit further. It is also less than a full-blown virtual reality device, and that is a good thing because it's less, in the sense that you don't have to go out and spend $1,000 on a VR headset. You can access a web-based virtual world, including the one that I've created, just as you would any other web page on your computer. So that is what I mean and what most people in the industry mean when we talk about a virtual meeting world. Not a full-blown virtual reality piece of equipment, but certainly much more than a standard video conference platform like Zoom. Okay, what's wrong with Zoom? Well, nothing is wrong with Zoom. It just has its limitations. As the joke goes, people often wonder, am I on a Zoom call or I'm on Hollywood Squares? Everybody remembers Hollywood Squares, don't you? And the reason for that joke is the similarity is when you're on Zoom, you're stuck in a grid, just as the contestants on Hollywood Squares were in a grid. You can't move about. You can't have a side conversation with the person next to you. You're either on mic for the entire group or not. And while it may have become sort of routine for all of us to do that since COVID, it's not natural. It doesn't have to be that way. So how is a virtual meeting world different? The answer is that it's more like the real world, and it feels more comfortable and fluid for that reason because it's like reality as we know it. Would you rather be in a grid or be in a place? I think most of us would rather be in a place. So what a virtual a virtual meeting world tries to accomplish is to provide on a screen within a web page something that is akin to being in a place. One industry term that I'll throw in is that web-based virtual meeting worlds are referred to as spatial platforms. Spatial simply in the sense that it brings us together in a space. Zoom again brings us together in a grid. A virtual meeting world brings us together in a space. It's special because it's spatial. Try saying that 3 times quickly. It's special because it's spatial. It puts us in a space. So what are the basic components of a virtual meeting world? Don't worry, we're not going down the road of anything technical or code or anything of that sort. I think it will help your understanding if we think of the building blocks that make a virtual meeting world work. And I actually have become acquainted with 2 of the very sharp young men who created this technology about 9 years ago. And what I'm going to walk you through is what they did on a napkin over dinner. Their story is one of the great entrepreneurial stories of guys who had a great idea and fleshed out and got some venture capital and have done very well with it. Here's the process that they went through. The first component we need is, of course, an appropriate virtual space, one that is appropriate for our group. A virtual meeting world can be large or small. It can be complex or simple. I have created virtual meeting worlds for churches where we never expected more than 8 or 10 board members to be there at a time. Also created an entire university campus as a virtual world on this same platform that I've used to create one for us. That virtual world accommodates 1,000 students at a time in classrooms, in fellowship halls, in gathering spaces, all running on the same technology, but just different sizes for different purposes. So the challenge of a designer, and I began doing this as a hobby before people hired me to do it, The challenge for a designer is like being a little bit of an architect and a little bit of an interior designer to think digitally what is the space that beckons to be made for this group for these purposes. And as Brookie knows, I played around with a couple of different ideas for us, and then I had an epiphany. During the season of Epiphany, I had an epiphany. I thought, wait a minute, we are a computer group. We love computers. We like working with computers. We appreciate technology. That should be the guiding concept, the unifying theme. So, as you will see, what I came up with was the idea that when you enter our virtual world, you arrive at a computer desk in a home office, sort of a mega desk with 5 different screens on the desk because they present different information that you can quickly access when you're there. We'll come back to that. So the first thing you've got to have is a virtual space, and that's a matter of art and design, interior design, if you will. And of course, I created all that with quite a number of PNG graphics laid over top of each other, and that's a lot of fun for me to see it come together. But if we stop right there, all you'd have is a picture. You wouldn't have a virtual space for anybody to do anything in. You just have a pretty picture. So the second component is that each of us needs to have an avatar so that we can actually move around in our virtual world. The term avatar may not be familiar to some of you. It basically means a character who represents you, whether it's in a video game or elsewhere. So that has become a more familiar term in recent years. An avatar is you. An avatar is your feet and legs inside a virtual world. On the Topia platform, which I have used, the avatars look like this. They are intentionally just cute little pudgy characters that don't have gender, don't have race, don't have age. We like that, right? You can put them in different colored t-shirts and shorts and ball caps, as you will see. But the idea is there's no reason for the avatar to be anything other than a cute little character because his job is simply to move through the world on your behalf and take you to the different things in the world. Third, we obviously need an audio video window, just like Zoom, for each of us so that we can see and talk to each other. If we had stopped with the second component, we'd have a pretty world with little characters, avatars running around it, but we wouldn't be able to talk to each other. So obviously we need to have an audio video window. So you'll see in this graphic that each of these 4 people who represent people inside a virtual world, they each have a window over their heads, just as you would in Zoom. And so here, this other little illustration that I've used shows a gentleman in his audio video window, sort of floating in the air above his avatar to indicate that your avatar carries your audio video window with it. Let's keep moving. Fourth, and this is pretty key. This was a huge piece of technology, and you'll see this in a little video that I created this afternoon. Fourth is proximity-based audio and video, just like the real world. And that is to say that if Brookie and I stepped into the kitchen and had a conversation there, you wouldn't be hearing it out here, and we wouldn't be hearing you over there. In the real world, we go to a social event, we go to a cocktail party, we step over to one side of the room to speak to one person, we step over to the other side of the room to speak to somebody else. So proximity-based audio and video, which you will see, means that you don't have to be speaking to everybody or nobody. You can actually move your avatar around and quickly have conversation with different individuals, different groups. I've illustrated that with this little picture that shows 2 avatars standing on this pane of glass in the cloud with 2 users above them, showing that as the avatars get close to each other, the audio video windows appear and the 2 people speak to each other. The 5th component really flows directly from everything I've already said, and that is that you want to be in a world where you can, by fluid movement, move between different conversation groups, just as you would in the real world, as I said, at a social gathering. When you've got an avatar that takes your audio video window with it, and you have proximity-based audio and video. That means that I can be on one side of the world with Brookie and Phil in a conversation, and simply by walking my avatar 100 pixels or more, I join Joe on the other side and start having a conversation with him, and you will see that. However, the one thing about proximity-based audio is, what if you're going to do a presentation? So the exception is you do need to have a way that one person can be seen and heard by everyone. And in a virtual world, that's called being in broadcast mode. It means that if you basically flip a switch on your audio video window, you go into broadcast mode and everybody in the world can hear you no matter how far away their avatar is. So that's like a public address system or a sound system in a fellowship hall. That's what we do in the real world. We can chat with each other at the back of the room. We can chat with each other off in the kitchen to the side. But when someone needs to be heard by everyone, they go to the sound system. Here, you go into broadcast mode and you're heard by everyone. And finally, the last piece of the puzzle is that in a virtual world, all of us ought to be able to open relevant materials quickly and easily in pop-up windows. Here in the real world, if Brookie were presenting, I could be listening to her and at the same time grab one of our brochures off the front desk and glance at it because she's talking about the class schedule or something of that sort. I want to be able to do that in the virtual world also. I shouldn't have to go to another tab of my web browser. I shouldn't have to wait for something to be shared on screen. I shouldn't have to figure out a link that appears in the chat sidebar of Zoom. It ought to be just right there in the same way that we have brochures and other materials all around this room. And as you'll see, here's a quick snapshot of what you'll see on ours. One example of what I've put in our world is a tablet that shows clickable icons for our website, our newsletter, our events calendar, our class calendar, our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, and Ollie at UK. All of those things are right there. The idea is to make this world a command center of sorts, a mega desk, as the term goes back to the Office series, where anything you might want to reference when you're talking about CKCS with other members, it's all right there. We'll see that further. When you put all of that together, let's think about what you've got. You've got, first of all, a place to be. That's your virtual world. You've got a way to move around in it. That's your avatar. You've got a way to see and talk to each other. That's your audio video window. You've got a way to move between conversations because of proximity-based audio. You walk your avatar over to one side, talk to one person, walk your avatar over to another side, talk to somebody else. You've got a way to hear presentations and announcements through broadcast mode, which is just like a public address system in the real world. And finally, you've got a way to view documents, links, and other materials because in a fully developed virtual world, there are all sorts of links all around you for the things you might want to look at. So when you put all of that together, you have a complete virtual meeting world, which makes our avatars happy campers. So in a minute, we're going to go into our world, but I'm going to stop there to take questions in context. Does anyone, and I'll keep an eye on chat if you'll help me, Joe, for the Zoom audience, does anyone have general questions at this point? I may answer them now, or I may ask you to wait, depending. Does anybody have a general question?
Hey, Ben, can anybody jump into broadcast mode in a virtual meeting like this?
I'm sorry, I was speaking to Joe. Say that again.
I said, can any user jump into broadcast mode
Yeah,
in this situation?
Good question. I will repeat the question. Very intelligent question. Thank you, because that shows me that you're thinking through this. The question is, can anybody use broadcast mode? It's like admin privileges, if you will. The limitations are first, only one person can be in broadcast mode at a time. That's a built-in technical limitation. So people can't be talking over top of each other in broadcast mode. Secondly, whoever is serving as the admin at the time for a meeting of the like can decide who gets to use broadcast mode at all, even one at a time, in the same way that Joe sitting over here can mute participants. So there's no chance that you're going to have several people who've clicked on broadcast mode at the same time and are shouting over top of each other to the entire group. Does that answer the question? Yes? Okay, he may be muted.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Anybody? Very good question. Anybody else at this point? Yes, Phil.
You mentioned talking. Is it literally voice that we use, or is it text-based?
No, it's voice. In that respect, it's really just like Zoom in the sense that if you and I were in the world together right now, and you'll see this, your face would be live in your window, and when you're speaking, I'm hearing you, right? Right. So let's go forward then if I'm not hearing anything else. So let's now, with the benefit of that big picture concept view, let's look at what I have created for our use. Please note, as Brookie indicated, nobody hired me to do this, and I'm not marketing anything. I was looking for something that I might bring to the table here with this organization, and I did a number of these in years gone by, and I thought maybe that's something that we would enjoy and it would supplement the other things we have. This will not replace our website. It doesn't replace our newsletter. It doesn't replace our YouTube channel, and probably doesn't make sense to use for all the things we use Zoom for. It's one more tool that we can use for our community. I'm offering it as a voluntary contribution. It's been fun for me to work on. It is now live and ready for your use. It is ready for prime time. I've tried to make it as complete and polished as possible. It's on the internet with the URL and the password that Brookie gave you. Having said all of that, I welcome your suggestions for its improvement. It's easy to change, and I want the wisdom of the crowd as to what things you would like to see there that aren't there, or things you'd like to see changed. So with all of that, there is the URL, the web address. It cannot be found by a search engine. So if you make the mistake of putting that into the search field of Google, for example, it's going to give you the closest thing it can find, which is our own CKCS web page. It's not going to find this. It's hidden from search engines. So you instead need to go directly to the address bar and put in that address. I bought that as a stub. It actually points to a long address within Topia's servers that is impossible to remember and difficult even to copy. So I just got what's called a short URL that points to the long URL, and that's it. That's the closest I could get that makes sense for the nature of our virtual world. So you go there and you come to a login screen, just like many login screens. Nothing particularly intimidating about it. Let's look at it on the left-hand side right off the bat. It looks to see if you've got a video camera attached and a microphone attached. Looking to see, that's where you can set those things the same way you would double check and set those things as you join a Zoom call. Then on the right-hand side is where you choose a display name. That is what will be seen by others in the world, both with your video window and over the head of your avatar, so that other people can look and say, oh, there's Joe over there. I'm going to go over and talk to Joe. I have set it up so that you can't go in merely as an unidentified guest. The first time you go in, you must provide an email address, and you will receive a code by email within a minute. You put that code back in on this screen, and at that point, you are a registered member of this virtual world, and you won't have to do that every time. But that's just another piece of security I've added. So after you do that, which is all pretty standard for accessing anything like this, you come to the virtual world. You'll actually be closer in than the picture right there because your avatar is small enough that you don't want to be straining your eyes to find him. But that is the entire scene. That's the the outer limits, the edge of the world in terms of what I created. Let's now go into it and see what we've got. And let me emphasize again, this is a screen capture snapshot. We are not actually in the live virtual world. And the only reason I did it that way is so that I can throw up labels and titles over top of this picture, which I would not be able to do inside the virtual world. The one thing that wasn't there a moment ago, but is always going to be there, is my own audio video chat window answering Phil's question. It's always going to be with me when I'm in there, whether I have the camera turned on or the microphone muted. It's just like Zoom. So there's me, and there's my avatar wearing the red t-shirt and the blue shorts. And you see that he has the name over the top of his head because that's the display name that I chose. I'm moving very quickly. My video window is tied to my avatar. I put tied in quotes simply to say that wherever my avatar goes, my video window follows. They cannot walk away from each other. My own avatar will always be in view. He cannot walk off the screen. And my own video chat window will always be in view, moving with my avatar, as you will see. So another way of putting that is to say that my presence in this world has two components. The first component is my video window. It's how I'm seen and heard, as Phil and I discussed. That's the manner in which people see my face and hear my voice. And the second piece of the puzzle is my avatar. That's how I move around this place. They go hand in hand. Okay? Now, everything that I've just said about me applies to each and every person who comes into the world, right? So I used me as an illustration, but now we're seeing 4 people across the top of the screen there. That's just clip art. Those aren't real people. But each of them in this world would have their own avatar. Each of them has their own video window. Each of them can move around the world the same way I can. And as they move around the world, they will appear to each other, as I'm going to show you in just a minute. So when I showed this to a group here on Thursday and went on for 30 minutes, then Lydia asked a very intelligent question. She said, how do I move my avatar around? I thought, oops, I left that out. How do I move my avatar around? Well, the answer is very simple. You simply point and click. When I'm in the world and I'm seeing my avatar on screen, as you will in just a moment, you can point and click anywhere else, and your avatar will walk to the place where you have just pointed. Let me show you a little video that I made this afternoon with my wife's participation. She made me promise that I would not ask her to speak. So you're not going to hear her, but you're going to see how the avatars work. So here we are. This is a live video in the world. You see my avatar right there in the middle. That's where you land. You see a little pair of footprints. That is the cursor. That substitutes for an ordinary mouse pointer when you're in the world. And it tells you that anywhere you click, the person will walk to. So if I click over here on the right-hand side, he walks there. If I click on the other side, he walks there. I told my wife to wait for me up in the park area, the presentation area. So now I'm going to walk up to her. That's my wife, Sid. And you see that as I approach her, her video chat window comes into view. This is what we mean by proximity-based communication. You'll also hear birds because I put some ambient sounds sprinkled around inside the world. And when you're up here in the presentation area, you hear birds. But watch Sid and me. As I approach her and walk around her, if I stay within 200 pixels or so of her, I can see her and hear her. That means that about 8 to 10 people, even without using broadcast mode, 8 to 10 people can gather in a group and we'll all see each other and all hear each other. I didn't have anybody else to join me in this experiment today, so it's only my wife and me, but I got to have 4 or 5 other people walking around, and you would see that as we approach each other, we come into view of each other, just like moving from one side of a social event to another, okay? And we horse around a little bit here for another minute or so. We started playing tag, but I'll go ahead and leave that. So let me stop there. This time I asked, do you have any questions about using an avatar. That's what we're focusing on right now. Anybody at home? Is everybody on mute, Joe? Are they able to speak?
Everybody's on mute.
They can unmute themselves. Okay. I assume everybody knows how to unmute themselves if they have a question. I'm not hearing any.
I have
Let's
a
keep going.
question.
Yes.
So you move your avatar like with your cursor? Is that how you would move it?
Yes, your pointer, your cursor.
Okay,
Yes. Yep.
thanks.
You can also actually use the arrow keys on the keyboard to go in straight lines up and down, left and right. And that's sometimes a way, if you know that you want to go to the far side of the world, you just put your finger on the arrow key and hold it rather than clicking several times to get over there. But generally, and this is so intuitive, you would figure it out in the first 5 seconds of a visit to the world. What I've seen people do, they arrive in the world, what's going on here? They move their mouse, they see the avatar move. Brookie's nodding her head. I guess you did this. And they get it that quickly. Oh, this is how it works. This is how I move my avatar around. Very, very simple. Don't need a joystick, don't need a steering wheel. You just point and click. All right, let's move on. This is a content-rich environment, as they say in the software industry. The reason for all these screens is that I had the idea that the screens, the tablet screens, organize different types of information so that you're not just looking at a long list of links or a jumble of things all over the place. So let's look quickly at what's here. I'm mindful of our time. You've got a big monitor, two tablets in portrait mode on both sides of it, two more tablets in landscape mode out at the ends of the desk, some other fun things around. You'll see that I created an award for Brookie up there in the top left corner, a crystal CKCS trophy. And there's some other fun things like that Escher globe up in the right-hand corner. That's just to make it a fun space. But the working part of it, the business piece of it, is that we've got these 5 screens that are a way of organizing different things. Let's see what they are. Right there, when you arrive, you've got help right off the bat. That's why I put that red button right in the middle. When you click on that, it gives you a quick overview of how this works. Off to the right, you see a little fixed avatar. Looks like a little jockey or something. It says, "Hooray, we're glad you're here. Click here for help." You click on that and you get more help. So it keeps going like that. It's all over the place. I try to put as much help inside the world as possible. Let's zoom over here to this tablet that says CKCS on the web. And you instantly recognize that these icons identify things that are all about our presence on the web, our website, our newsletter, our events calendar, and the like. You click on any one of those, and that item opens right there in a pop-up window. It's using an iframe, as some of you may understand. It's looking to the live content of the newsletter, the website, the event calendar. I checked it out on New Year's Eve, and at 11:55, when I popped open the events calendar, it showed December as the default starting month. At 12:05, it showed January of 2026, because that change had occurred immediately with our calendar app on our website, and it was pulled instantly and directly into this portal, this virtual world. So you've got all of these things. I'll move quickly. All the same things that you could access on the website, you can access here. It doesn't replace the website. It is a portal into the website and into the newsletter. I'll move quickly because I see we're running out of time. On the opposite side of the main monitor, I thought, what can I put in this world that also makes it interactive, even if you're not there, even if I'm not there with Phil? I can go into one of these bulletin boards and I can post, just like bulletin boards of old. We can have a chat conversation. It can be on the chat board. It can be on the photos board. I can add links to the link library. I've gotten each of those started. They're pretty much empty shells right now, just to show you what they can be. So one of them opens up, and it's the virtual desk chat board for general purposes. Another one opens up and it's a photo album where I've placed a photo of my son on top of Mount Shasta. I didn't take that. Uh, the link library, all of these are using the same technology. They're all very easy to use. You see the plus sign there in the lower right corner where you add a post of your own. They're all using Padlet, which is a very simple, straightforward, easy to use app that I have built into this virtual world, just with the suggestion that that's another way that we can use this place to interact with each other in a way that you can't do on a conventional website. You can't make notes to each other on a conventional website. You can do so here. Then way over here on the left, where I've just flown over to, I have a tablet that says recent videos, and those are our most recent YouTube videos that can be opened right there without going over to YouTube. You can go over to YouTube, as you see there in the lower left corner, if you want to, but you can play the videos right there. Okay. And then way over on the right-hand side, likewise, I have a tablet that's titled Shared Documents, where I thought we might put documents for our presentations, things of that sort. One example there is the history of CKCS. That's online. It's a PDF. So I showed that as an example, and there's Arthur Absher along with David Reed. So you can walk to any one of those places with your avatar, but I thought it'd be awfully nice also to provide something of a building directory front and center directly underneath the main monitor. So these two oval blue things that I've labeled as launch pads, if you click on any one of those, your avatar will automatically and immediately will teleport to that particular location within the desk, that whether it's the recent videos or the bulletin boards or whatever. For lazy people like me, that's a simple way of moving your avatar around quickly. So let's review real quickly. What you have at this desk is pop-up windows of our web resources, our website, our newsletter, our class calendar, etc. Also pop-up windows of interactive chat boards where you can leave notes for each other and the like, pop-up windows of our recent YouTube videos, and pop-up windows of shared documents. The net effect being that this is a personal command center. This is Brookie's desk. This is everything you might need to look at to double check the calendar, see what went into the newsletter, anything of that sort. I'll play a little bit of this video that shows that because I want to stay on schedule. So here I was at my desk again this afternoon with screen capture turned on. There's my avatar. You see me up in the upper left-hand window. Please don't look too much at me. I'm not attractive. You see my avatar moving around the same way he did before. We walk over to the word desk and he goes there. I point and click on the left edge of that screen. He goes there. And now that we've got him over next to that pad, we see that the pointer changes from the footprints to a pointing finger whenever your mouse pointer, your cursor is over top of a clickable item. That item will balloon slightly as a visual cue that it's clickable, and you'll also see the pointing finger. And you can then open these things up. You can expand them to make them larger. Here we've just opened up the website. It's the full website live in that frame, just being shown to us through that frame inside this world. And I'll go on to show the same thing being done with other things here, but I'm going to skip ahead to keep us on schedule. So that's how that works. So do you have any questions about the pop-up content? That's what we've just covered, the pop-up content. Anyone?
I was wondering on your shared documents, if you're going to
Yes.
have subfolders.
Very good question. Again, I hadn't thought through what we would like to have there. I defer to the leadership on that. I put one or two items there, as you saw, just as an illustration, but it has occurred to me that a very good idea would be to have a link there to a folder, not just a specific document, but to a folder, a public folder, where we place our presentation documents and the like. And that way, we don't have to change out the links on that pad month in and month out. It's just a quick way of going to a folder where whatever we want to be publicly available, or at least available to our group, is there. So yes, that's very easily done, and that's a logical next embellishment of that feature. Anybody else? Yes, no? Okay, let's move on. In addition to all of that are reasons that you could enjoy going to this virtual world, even if no one else is there. You can check on all of those things by yourself. You can watch the recent videos. You can open up the different pieces of the website. You can look at the bulletin boards, add some links, read somebody else's links, all of that, even if nobody else is there. But this is also a full-featured presentation space. And you may have noticed that high on the wall above the computer is what looks a little bit like a wall television. It is not. It is a presentation area. Everything I've said about broadcast mode could occur anywhere in this world. You could be standing in midair against the wall and go into broadcast mode. But to give us a sense of being in a virtual world, I thought I'll use that space up on the wall to create a place to go. And again, I could walk up there, or instead I could click right here on Presentation Park on our launch pad on the left. Clicking that will take me straight up there, and I will be up there on the wall, if you will. And this is almost like a virtual world within a virtual world. We're already in the virtual world of the office, but now that we've arrived in this space, we're in this bluegrass horse scene with horses in the background, an outdoor stage, flags, chairs, the whole bit. So this is a place where a gathering can occur and not just be spread out all over that desk with everything that's sitting on that desk. My wife named this Presentation Park, which I like. So that's how it reads right now. And here again, you've got a pop-up help window from one of those red question marks. And it says, this area of the virtual world is a special place for online meetings, presentations, and social events, just a short distance away from the virtual desk itself, etc. For purposes of reference, there's the approximate size of an avatar. That's a piece of clip art that I dropped in there. That's not an actual avatar, but it's about the right size. And it shows you that this space is big enough to easily accommodate 30 or 40 or 50 people standing around within this space so they can see each other, see who's there, step over and have sidebar conversations with each other, all of that kind of thing. A person can present in this space as we do in our Zoom meetings, but can also, if you have a particular video that you want to share, that video can be uploaded in advance and can be played right here on the screen. So for example, Joe or Kurt could be standing there in the broadcast zone presenting and being seen and heard by everybody in the world, while also having some other video on the screen behind them playing as they wish. Broadcast zone means that all you have to do is step into that rectangle, that light blue rectangle, and you're automatically in broadcast mode. You don't even have to flip it on inside your video window. It's a region that turns it on. And these blue banners on left and right provide a space where links or pop open windows for relevant documents can be placed there ahead of a presentation, so that as I'm listening to, let's say, Kurt present on that stage, I can also open any of the reference materials that have already been placed there in advance. So let's do this one because this only takes 2 minutes. This is a video that demonstrates using that space. So here we are again. I start there in the middle of the screen. I'm using my cursor to come down. You see that I have these different choices. I'm going to click on Presentation Park. It asks me to confirm. Let's go. And that takes my avatar up to that area right there in front of the picnic table. You'll see that I actually walk behind some of these things because of the way I've layered the PNGs. I step onto the stage and you see in the lower left corner an alert has popped up that says, "Smile, you're broadcasting. All users in this world can see and hear you." As soon as I step off the stage, the alert changes to say your broadcast has ended. So it's just that easy to be a presenter, to be a speaker, using broadcast mode in this way. Even when I'm off the stage, if I hover over my own video window, I see choices like going into broadcast mode, screen sharing, and the like. I can screen share from here. The screen sharing is equal to or better than that of Zoom, quite frankly, but I'll jump past that. So, do you have any questions about presentations in this virtual world? Somebody out there is asking some very intelligent questions. What's the next one?
I've got another one. This is
Okay.
Joe Halleck on Debbie Halleck's computer with her
Okay.
beside me. Is this compatible for PowerPoint presentations? Can I upload a PowerPoint presentation?
I don't actually. I think I haven't used PowerPoint in years because I'm using Prezi instead. But am I correct that once you have finished a PowerPoint presentation, you can either run it from PowerPoint itself, or you can basically uh, export it into a standalone PowerPoint file that can be played without the app open. Is that true?
Yes,
Yes?
an EXP file,
Huh?
EXP file.
Yeah, and so that's the way you would do it. You wouldn't run PowerPoint as an app in that window. You would export the PowerPoint presentation, and then it would be just like an MP4 in the sense that it could be uploaded and placed on that screen. Yep, that's right.
So does that mean every user can run it independently, or is it simultaneous?
No, very good question. That is an option. When something is running, let's again say that Joe or Kurt is on that stage, they can choose to run a video that is seen simultaneously by everybody to whom they are presenting, just like you'd play a video here in the real world in a room, or you can simply have it up there so that as each person comes in and approaches it, they see it starting for them on their own loop separately from someone else who got halfway through it 5 minutes earlier. That's a nice feature because it means that we have more individual power over what we're seeing and doing in the world. We're not canned into everybody seeing the same thing at the same time. If Kurt is presenting up there and he's in broadcast mode, I can hear him anywhere in the world, so I can walk down somewhere else and open up the newsletter and read the newsletter while I'm hearing him because he's in broadcast mode. I can choose to reduce his shared frame, even though it doesn't reduce for anybody else, right? So once he opens up his sharing window, I say, okay, well, I've seen that, or I don't need to see that. I can reduce it. It doesn't reduce it for anybody else. I am individually controlling what I see. Does that make sense? Pretty cool stuff. Yep.
Following on from the question about PowerPoint, I have the same question about Google Slides and Apple Keynote. What about those presentation formats?
I,
That's too far into
I think, I think the answer, I don't know because I haven't tried it. All I've tried are videos. I think the answer is you wouldn't do it with the app because the app is not going to embed in the virtual world. You would export the product of those apps, whether it's an EPS file, as Joe said, or an MP4 or whatever. It could be a PowerPoint that is on a timed 10-second per slide delay, exported as an EPS or something of that sort. And then that file, that freestanding file, is what you upload and place on that screen. Does that make sense? I think that's the way to do it. I think any app that you can export from, you'd be creating the equivalent of an MP4 video and placing it on the screen. Okay. Okay. So I want to wrap up on time. It's 8 o'clock. In summary, what you've got here, if we think about it, is number one, a pleasing interface which provides a real sense of place, that being a home office, unlike the Zoom grid. It is a content-rich space in which CKCS resources are instantly available all around you. It has full-featured video conference capabilities, very similar to Zoom. And as Brookie has indicated in some of her remarks, it is a place for natural, fluid, impromptu interactions with other members at any time simply by logging into a website. You don't have to set up a meeting as you do in Zoom. You don't have to create a meeting link. You just drop in. Once you have the password, you just drop in and you see who else is there. And during the heyday of these virtual worlds during COVID, when every company in America wanted a virtual world, as a substitute for Zoom, I and other designers at 10 or 11 o'clock at night would go into some of the hobby worlds that we had created just to see who was there, just to hang out. I made friends all over the country, actually all over the world, that I've never met face to face. My design partner that built these worlds with me for the Smithsonian and for NASA and for several universities, he and I have never met in person. He lives in New York. But we had a lot of fun building these things together. We call it world building, designing these things together. And we're business partners for a time and then went on to other things. So that's the kind of relationship that can arise in this kind of very natural environment. Any last questions? How'd I do?
Surprise, surprise.
I do have one last question. Is
So,
there any
yes, go ahead.
chance of older classes that may no longer be offered at a cost ending up in the database of the documents or presentations? Like, for instance, I taught a class in making trifold brochures, which was on Publisher, which is now gone, but you can do it in Word. And so the question is, would that ever be put in there as something that a CKCS member could access?
Yeah, I understand you to be asking, could this also be a place for archived presentations and the
Yes.
like? And I don't know if there's any possibility of going back in time to those things that have already faded into history, but certainly from this point forward, I think it would be a good idea for us to archive all of our YouTube videos. Stay on YouTube, do they not? Right? Brookie's saying yes. And we're working on doing a better job of keeping our presentation materials, our handouts, all in one place so that people who miss a Zoom session, miss the materials, can find it later. This could be an easy place to come to find the video from last week's ATA meeting, all things Apple, or the handouts or the like. So it could provide that purpose. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does. I was thinking if somebody were to take a class that they paid for and then want to go back and having lost their documentation,
Right.
be able to access the course material again to remind them how to do something.
Yep. Good idea. Anybody else?
No, I just wanted to say thank you. This was a whole new world
Pardon the pun.
and great presentation.
This and thank you. I would genuinely appreciate it. Let me assure you, this technology is not so new as to be unreliable. It has been around for about 8 years, which, as you all know, is a long time in the progress of technology. And it really got a gigantic boost, as you can imagine, from COVID because big companies with big budgets could not have their annual meetings, could not have their annual conventions. NASA was scheduled to host an international convention of people specializing in LIDAR, weather radar LIDAR, and it was going to be at Big Sky, Montana. and they couldn't do it because of COVID. So we built a virtual world that looked like the resort at Big Sky, Montana, so that everybody could feel like they went there.
That's really neat.
And we had almost 1,000 people there, if I recall correctly, at least 500 from scientists all over the world, guys with 3 and 4 doctorate degrees. Um, so, anything else?
I want you to talk about the grand.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So, when we went over this several days ago, it seemed that the best way of offering all of you the chance to experience this yourself is to have what we'll call a grand opening. And that is to say, a designated time when I will be there and others in this leadership group will try to be there. And we chose exactly 1 week from tonight, same time, 7 o'clock next Monday night. You are absolutely welcome to visit the world tonight or tomorrow or anytime between now and next Monday night. If you took that picture that Brookie told you to take, you've got the password from her screen. So you can go log in. First time you will have to provide your email address. You'll get a code by email. You should only have to do that once and just play around with it. And if you're able to do that between now and next Monday, then you will have questions and comments and indications of what didn't work well for you. So, but we hope to publicize it and hope to have a good turnout. I can tell you, and I told Brookie this, my partner and I, back during COVID, we created a world for a group of technologically unsophisticated people, let me say, who could not have their annual garden party because of COVID. And we fully expected to be running around the world as hosts, answering questions all over the place. And they instantly figured it out. And we would watch them with their avatar running across the grass to say hello to someone they hadn't seen in years. And we just sat back and watched this very joyful, fun interaction of people who had not been able to see each other. They figured it out as soon as they clicked their mouse once and figured out how the avatar moved. So I think there may be some little tweaks that need to be fixed of one nature or another, but I think you'll find that it's not as complicated as I have made it sound by explaining it. Okay. Okay. Anything else?
No, that's good. Yeah, very
Okay.
good.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.